Hey everyone, this is Rave, and I'm here with my recap and review of Digimon Ghost Game the Anime, season number 1, episode number 23, which is titled Moaning Insects. And this was another enjoyable episode. I really like some of the animation sequences. The animation was high quality in this episode, as far as my opinion goes. So yeah, this episode basically opens up with this random Digimon attacking a random human dude, and the entire attack pattern is quite creepy, as if the attacking Digimon has been possessed, which we find out later on that yep, these Digimons are being possessed by another Digimon, which I'll get to in a bit. So Clockmon has been going around the city trying to protect humans from these possessed Digimon, and yeah, Clockmon is like, okay, so here's another one. So basically, he has been trying to handle the situation for quite some time now. And then we cut to Kiyoshiro, and Kiyoshiro has been waiting for Jellymon, and Jellymon enters, and Kiyoshiro's like, whoa, Jellymon, it took you long enough to come back home. But turns out that Jellymon has been possessed as well, and you can see that the Digimon that have been possessed, they have these two antlers on top, and their eyes are glowing, and they're being more aggressive, more scarier, and they're scuttling around and crawling around like bugs. And Kiyoshiro, of course, he's like, what the heck just happened to Jellymon? And he, of course, runs out of his room towards Hiro's room, and he's like, Hiro, open the door, you need to help me. And Hiro's like, okay, so what's up? And Kiyoshiro's like, well, something's up with Jellymon. She's acting weird. And yeah, Jellymon comes into Hiro's room, and she's about to attack everyone, but Gamamon is like, something's up with Jellymon. And Gamamon, of course, defends Hiro and Kiyoshiro. And Jellymon is like, you know what, this isn't worth it, and she just crawls away, basically phasing out of the wall. And yeah, they're worried. Kiyoshiro is, of course, worried about Jellymon, and Hiro is confused. And then it's the morning, and we get to see the kids talking to Clockmon, and Clockmon tells them that yeah, there's some weird stuff going around with Digimon being possessed and basically being very aggressive and coming out at night and whatnot. And Clockmon is like, well, I came to you guys in order to ask for help, but it turns out that you have your own problems. And yeah, I guess, yeah, if I remember correctly, Hiro's the one. He's like, you know what? These possessed Digimon, they have been acting like bugs, and there are a whole lot of nocturnal bugs out there. So maybe that's why they only come out at night, and that creeps Ruli out. But yeah, Clockman is like, you know what? I don't understand what's happening, so be vigilant and keep an eye on Kiyoshiro, keep an eye on Jellymon, keep an eye on Gamamon, basically, and just be careful. Just be careful. And yeah, Hiro is like, yeah, we'll be careful. And then we cut to Kiyoshiro presenting Kiyoshiro presenting Gamamon with a whole lot of champions, which are basically chocolates. And Kiyoshiro is like, accept this offering and protect me, Gamamon. And Gamamon, of course, Gamamon is excited. And Hiro is like, you know what, Kiyoshiro? If you're going to stay in my room, might as well help me research. And Kiyoshiro's like, of course, I'll be right there. So Kiyoshiro and Hiro are researching anything about what's happening to the Digimon and why they're getting possessed. And after Gamamon ends up eating a whole lot of chocolates, he's like, Hiro, can you hand over the encyclopedia? Because I guess Gamamon wants to help as well. And Hiro does hand him over a tablet. And when Gamamon is about to read the tablet, we get to see this weird red dust coming out of the tablet, and it infects Gamamon. And yeah, Gamamon has been infected as well. He starts acting aggressive. He has those two antennas on his head as well. I'm not really sure. Did I call them antlers before? My bad. But yeah, I'm not really sure. But yeah, antennas on his head, and he ends up attacking Hiro. And yeah, it's quite an intense scene with Gamamon trying to basically bite Hiro's head off. And yeah, Hiro is like, Kiyoshiro, open the door. And Kiyoshiro opens the door, and Hiro just throws Gamamon out of the room. Gamamon hits the wall, but before Gamamon can do anything, he hears other people talking about what all of the commotion is about. And yeah, Gamamon also runs away. And then we cut to Ruli, and Ruli is playing the piano. And yeah, because the piano has a digital component as well, so the red stuff that infected the Gamamon, it gets released from Ruli's piano as well, and it affects Angoramon. However, now that Angoramon has been infected, there's a bit of a difference between between how Jellymon and Gamamon ended up acting when they were infected, and how Angoramon is acting when he got infected. So I guess this entire thing goes to show that Angoramon has more willpower compared to Jellymon and Gamamon, because even though he has been infected and he wants to attack Ruli, he's also warning Ruli, and he's like, "Run, Ruli, run! I'm trying to control myself, but I can't help it." So Ruli runs out of the room. She's on the roof, and before Angoramon can attack her, Clockmon comes in, and Angoramon just runs away. And yeah, Clockmon is like, "Yep, it's the same that's been happening with the other Digimon, so yeah, I guess I'll keep an eye on you guys." And we get this shot of Angoramon flying away, and we get to see the red moon behind him, and you can see it's not entirely red right now, but yeah, by the end of this episode, the entire moon gets redder, and we get an explanation about that as well. So yeah, because this is basically a possession or a disease that's infecting Digimon, they're like, you know what, we have to figure out what this disease is. Basically, because it's a Digimon disease, another Digimon would know. And Hiro is like, "Yep, let's go to Mummymon." And yeah, we got to see Mummymon again. If I remember correctly, I think Mummymon was introduced in episode number 2, and he wanted to become a doctor, learn about medicine and whatnot. So it's nice to see him again. And I think he has been behaving as far as I can tell. However, he does have a creepy streak, because he's like, "You know what, I can't help you guys until I see the infected Digimon personally, and you guys better hurry, because it might be the last time you end up seeing your Digimon as they were, because if the possession continues, I might not be able to help them anymore." And he says that in a very creepy way, which I liked. So yeah, the kids are trying to figure out where the Digimon are in the morning, because again, due to the bug-like nature or the bug-like symptoms of this disease, they only come out at night. And we get to see Hiro trying to find Gamamon. I think he passes past a chocolate shop, but Gamamon has been hiding in a tree. And then we get to see Ruli in the bamboo forest. Remember this Digimon? Yeah, he seems to be doing good. But yeah, Angoramon is hiding in the bamboo forest, and Kiyoshiro tries to look through Jellymon's usual haunts, but she's basically hiding in the sewer system, so they can't find their Digimon, and they're like, "You know what, I guess our Digimon will come to us." And that's what happens as the episode continues. So other Digimon are still being infected, and Clockmon has been trying to capture them, and as he ends up capturing another Digimon, he notices the moon getting redder, and he also notices the red stuff coming out of satellites and antennas, and he's like, yep, there's something going on with the red thing that's infecting these Digimon. And Ruli is like, "You know what, let's go check." So she goes into her room, and she lifts up the control panel of the digital control panel of her piano, and of course the red stuff is coming out of it. And Hiro goes to his room, and he notices the red stuff coming out of the tablet, and they're like, "Yep, we need to get this red stuff analyzed." And they give a sample to Mummymon. Clockmon is there as well, and Mummymon is like, These resemble the scales of a Morphmon." Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this episode ended up being the anime debut of Morphmon. The first time we saw Morphmon, it was back in what movie? That Digimon The Last Kazuna movie that came out recently. And yeah, Morphmon has a very, very cute design as far as Digimon go, and I really like the design. So yeah, so it turns out that the red mist is because of this Morphmon who is basically under stress. Because Mummymon is like, "You know what, Morphmon's scales have different effects, it has different colors, and the fact that this one is red and it's creating these symptoms in other Digimon, that means that this Morphmon that's producing all of these scales, it's in trouble." And we get this shot of Morphmon basically being trapped in a web, and Morphmon is calling out for help. Morphmon is scared, and I'm like, "Oh, poor Morphmon." Now, I'm not really sure if Digimon The Last Kazuna is canon to this anime, but it was still nice to see Morphmon, in my opinion. So yeah, the kids are like, if we can't find our Digimon going to come at us at night. So they are ready. Ruli is ready to fight Angoramon with a hockey stick, and I'm like, "Oh no, Ruli, really, you're going to fight someone like Angoramon with a hockey stick? Well, more power to you, girl." So Hiro ends up fighting Gamamon, and as they're fighting, he basically throws Gamamon towards this case that has condiments in it, and we get to see Gamamon basically act weird when it smells pepper, and that gives Hiro an idea. He's like, I guess spices work. So he ends up basically using all of the condiments, all of the spices on Gamamon, and yeah, it worked. Gamamon breaks out of the possession, and he's also very yeah, his tongue's burning, and we get to see this little comedic Gamamon's comedic facial expression, and Hiro ends up giving Gamamon water, and he's like, Gamamon, while you were possessed, you were talking about stop, human, please stop, and whatnot. So do you remember what that was about? And Gamamon is like, no, I don't remember. I just felt like saying all of that. So they're like, you know what? Let's go and help Kiyoshiro. So they go in, and Jellymon has Kiyoshiro all tangled up in her tentacles, and Gamamon digivolves into Betel Gamamon, and Jellymon is like, no, this isn't for me. So she runs off, and again, before she runs away, she talks something. She says something about help me, and yeah, Hiro is noticing all of this, and then we get to Angoramon and Ruli, and yeah, Angoramon ended up breaking Ruli's hockey stick, and Angoramon is like, Ruli, you have to run. He's trying to fight the disease, the possession, and Ruli is like, Angoramon, you're trying to turn back, and Angoramon is like, no, I'm getting this signal about someone needing help. I have to go away. So Angoramon flies off. So now that Hiro notices this, that the possessed Digimon are asking for help, and Ruli tells them about what Angoramon was saying. They're like, "Yup," and yeah, also Clockmon tells them about Morphmon. They're like, "Okay, so Morphmon is the one creating these red scales, and Morphmon is in trouble. However, we need to find where Morphmon is. We need to pinpoint Morphmon's location." And as all of them are talking, they notice the moon, and it's turned red, and it turns out that the scales that have been emitting from the antennas and the satellites and all of that stuff, they have been making their way to the moon. And Clockmon is like, you know what, when the entire moon ends up being covered by Morphmon's red scales, they'll all fall to earth, and all of the Digimon will go crazy. I don't understand the science and the logic behind that Morphmon is able to create like a whole lot of scales that are able to cover the entire moon, and yeah, when the entire moon is covered, the scales will fall down. How? The science, I don't understand that. And yeah, they're like, you know what, we're running out of time. So Ruli is like, okay, so how are the scales even making their way up to the moon? How is that even possible? And this is where Hero's like, Kyoshiro's like, it can't be a plane, and Hero's like, what if it's satellites? It's a satellite. And Kyoshiro's like, yeah, there is a satellite that ends up moving above Japan like once a day, but the satellite was deactivated, but maybe somehow it ended up reestablishing connection with the internet, and that's what Morphmon is using. And Hero's like, yeah, that sounds like a likely theory. And they're like, oh, and Clockmon is like, okay, so why are you guys standing around? Go and destroy the satellite. And Kyoshiro's like, well, it's easier said than done. We can't just go ahead and destroy the satellite. We have to pinpoint its location and whatnot. And Gamamon is like, Hiro, I can do this. I can destroy a satellite. And Hiro's like, okay, let's do this. So Gamamon ends up digivolving into Wazeng Gamamon, and Wazeng Gamamon inserts its tail into the earth in order to charge its cannon, and Kiyoshiro takes out his laptop and he starts pinpointing the satellite's location, also pinpointing Morphmon's location, and the entire scene was quite intense because as Wazeng Gamamon is charging, Angoramon and Jellymon appear in order to attack everyone, and Clockmon and Ruli are like, you know what, we'll handle this situation. You guys continue charging the attack and pinpointing the satellite location. And we get to see the scene where Ruli ends up attacking Angoramon with a golf club, and I'm like, really, Ruli? I mean, the golf club isn't necessarily going to do anything against Angoramon, but I really like seeing Ruli being this type of a character that's not afraid of fighting, even if it means fighting Angoramon and hurting him, because Ruli ends up trying to justify her actions by continuously telling herself that, you know what, you're doing this for Angoramon, you have to do this. And I like the spirit, this type of spirit Ruli, because we don't necessarily get to see this in female characters in anime. So Clockmon decides to go ahead and fight Jellymon, and yeah, then we get to see Kiyoshiro pinpointing the satellite location, and within Gamamon is ready to release his attack. I think it's not. What's the attack's name? I'm not really sure. Albine or something. Albumin is a protein. But yeah, albine something. But yeah, it's a very very powerful attack. But you can see that within Gamamon, when it's fully charged, it's able to basically release a very powerful attack, and this beam of energy is able to move past Earth without dissipating and hitting the satellite. And I have to say again, this entire episode had a bunch of scenes that were very well animated, and this was another well animated scene where within Gamamon's energy beam hits the satellite and it disintegrates the satellite. It was very well done as far as animation goes. So after the satellite has been destroyed and the moon ends up being unread again, basically white again. This is where Kiyoshiro is like, yep, I have pinpointed Morphmon's location. And yeah, before that happens, we get to see within Gamamon coming in to help Clockmon and Ruli, and Clockmon helps Ruli duck, while within Gamamon jumps and attacks Jellymon and Goramon with its tail and knocks both of these Digimon down. So we get to see that that this is the person who ended up capturing Morphmon, because she's like, what are you? Are you a life form, an intelligent life form? Are you an AI? She's just happy that other people won't consider her an amateur researcher anymore. But before she can do anything, Clockmon comes in, and Clockmon is like, yep, I'm taking this. And he rips this device off and he goes away. And I'm like, yep, it's a good thing that they ended up saving Morphmon. Will we see this woman again? I'm not really sure. So yeah, Kiyoshiro ends up help release Morphmon, and Morphmon comes out of the device, and yeah, Morphmon is scared, and Morphmon ends up hugging Ruli, and she's like, I was so scared, and we get an explanation about how Morphmon was playing around on the internet and got captured by a human, and then because it wanted to be free, it wanted help, Morphmon ended up sending these messages, these SOS messages, through its red scales, and it subconsciously ended up linking itself to a satellite in order to basically spread the message as far and as wide as possible. And yeah, that's exactly what happened, and Morphmon is free now. And I'm like, will we see Morphmon again? I have no idea. So the episode basically ends with Angoramon wanting to apologize to Ruli about his behavior. And Ruli is like, don't worry about it, Angoramon. Actually, I want to thank you, because even though you were possessed, you were still trying to protect me. And she ends up giving Angoramon a hug, and the episode ends with Angoramon talking about, you know what, no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow, but one thing is for sure, that tomorrow will come. And basically it's the full moon of spring, and yeah, the episode ends on a happy note. It was an enjoyable episode as far as my opinion goes. It showed us how powerful the Zen Gamamon can be if it ends up charging its cannon fully. And we also got to see some very very well animated action sequences and frames, and it was nice. It was fun, and we got to see Morphmon again. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later.